The story of the domestic cat doesn't actually begin in Egypt, which is a common misconception. It starts much earlier, in the Fertile Crescent, around the time humans first started farming. The invention of agriculture, about 12,000 years ago, meant grain surpluses, and where you have stored grain, you inevitably get rodents. This created a new ecological niche, and a certain wild animal was perfectly suited to exploit it. The ancestor of all domestic cats is the Near Eastern or African wildcat, known scientifically as Felis sylvestris libica. It's a bit leggier and more slender than the average house cat today, with a sandy, striped coat, perfect for camouflage. These wildcats saw the granaries of early human settlements as an all-you-can-eat buffet of mice and rats. Humans, in turn, saw these cats as a free, highly efficient form of pest control. It was a relationship of mutual benefit, not one of deliberate domestication, like with dogs or cattle. The cats essentially domesticated themselves, choosing to live alongside humans because the hunting was good. The earliest evidence for this relationship comes from a 9,500-year-old human burial site in Cyprus, where a cat was found intentionally buried with a person. So, while the relationship started elsewhere, it was in ancient Egypt that the cat's status was elevated from a useful pest controller to something truly divine. Egypt was the granary of the ancient world. The entire civilization was built on the annual flooding of the Nile, which created incredibly fertile land for growing grain. Protecting that grain wasn't just important, it was a matter of national security. The cat, as the primary predator of grain-stealing rodents, became a guardian of the Egyptian way of life. But it wasn't just about mice. Cats also hunted snakes, particularly the venomous cobras and vipers common in the region. This brought them into the home, not just the granary. A cat that could kill a snake was seen as a protector of the family and the hearth. This dual role, as a guardian of the nation's food supply and a protector of the individual household, laid the groundwork for their religious significance. Early on, the Egyptians revered powerful, dangerous animals. The lion, for example, was a symbol of royalty and divine power. Many of their earliest deities had leonine aspects. The goddess Sekhmet was a lioness-headed warrior, a fierce protector of the sun god Ra, and an agent of divine vengeance. But as Egyptian society evolved, there was a growing need for more accessible, less terrifying deities associated with the home. This is where the cat comes in. The goddess Bastet, originally depicted as a fierce lioness, began to be portrayed with the head of a domestic cat starting around the Third Intermediate Period. Her character softened. She transformed from a warrior goddess into a benevolent deity of home, fertility, domesticity, and childbirth. She was also seen as a protector against evil spirits and disease. In a way, her divine evolution mirrored the cat's social role, from a fierce wild hunter to a tamer, protective presence in the home. The center of Bastet's worship was the city of Bubastis in the Nile Delta. The Greek historian Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BCE, described her temple there as one of the most beautiful in all of Egypt. He wrote of an annual festival for Bastet that was one of the most popular and lavish celebrations in the country, attracting hundreds of thousands of pilgrims who would travel by boat, singing, dancing, and making offerings to the goddess. These offerings are where the story takes a darker, more industrial turn. The most common offering to Bastet was a mummified cat. For a long time, historians believed these were beloved pets being mummified to join their owners in the afterlife. And while some certainly were, modern science has revealed a much more complex picture. Archaeologists have uncovered vast cat cemeteries at Bubastis, Saqqara, and other sites. We're not talking about a few hundred mummies, we're talking about hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions, stacked floor to ceiling in underground catacombs. In the 19th century, these mummies were so plentiful that they were dug up and shipped to England by the ton to be ground into fertilizer. One shipment alone contained an estimated 180,000 cat mummies. Recent studies using CT scans and X-rays on these surviving mummies have shown that a large majority of them were not old, cherished pets. They were young cats, often between 2 and 4 months old. Many of them show evidence of having been deliberately killed, usually by having their necks broken. This points to a massive, industrial-scale breeding and mummification industry. Temple priests would have run catteries, raising kittens specifically to be killed, mummified, and then sold to pilgrims as votive offerings. A pilgrim would purchase a mummy, perhaps believing it would carry their prayer to the goddess Bastet. It was a full-fledged religious economy built around the cat. The mummification process itself was often less elaborate than that for humans. While some were carefully wrapped in intricate linen patterns with painted faces, many others were simply dipped in resin and bundled up. Sometimes, the wrappings were a deception. Scans have revealed mummies that contain only a few cat bones, or sometimes just reeds and mud, shaped to look like a cat. It seems there was a thriving market for counterfeit sacred offerings. The reverence for cats seeped into every aspect of Egyptian law and social custom. Herodotus famously claimed that the penalty for killing a cat in Egypt, even accidentally, was death. While this may have been an exaggeration, it reflects the animal's protected status. He also described the peculiar behavior of Egyptians during a house fire. He wrote that they would stand guard, not to save their belongings, but to prevent any of their cats from panicking and running into the flames. Their priority was the animal. According to Herodotus, when a household cat died of natural causes, the entire family would go into mourning. As a sign of their grief, they would shave their eyebrows. They would mourn the cat until their eyebrows grew back. This was a profound, public display of loss for an animal. This deep-seated reverence was even exploited in warfare. The most famous example is the Battle of Pelusium in 525 BCE. The Persian king Cambyses II was invading Egypt. Knowing of the Egyptians' veneration for cats, he supposedly ordered his soldiers to paint cats on their shields. The more extreme version of the story claims he had his frontline troops carry live cats and other sacred animals with them into battle. The Egyptian archers and soldiers were supposedly so unwilling to risk harming the cats that they refused to fire their weapons, making the Persian victory a relatively easy one. While this may be a piece of propaganda to explain the Egyptian defeat, the fact that the story was told and believed shows how widespread the reputation of Egypt's cat worship was in the ancient world. In art, cats were everywhere. Tomb paintings show them sitting under their owners' chairs, sometimes collared and leashed. This placement is symbolic. The woman of the house was often associated with fertility and domesticity, and placing a cat beneath her chair linked her with the goddess Bastet. The cats are often depicted eating a fish or a piece of meat, showing they were well cared for members of the family. There are also hunting scenes where a cat is shown flushing birds out of the reeds for its owner, behaving almost like a trained hunting dog. This suggests a close bond that went beyond mere utility. They were companions, integrated into both the daily life and the desired afterlife of the Egyptians. It's important to remember that the Egyptians didn't breed cats for specific appearances the way we do today. They didn't have breeds like Siamese or Persian. They had one breed, the African wildcat, which they valued for its inherent nature, its grace, its ferocity as a hunter, and its gentle, protective side as a mother. They weren't trying to change the cat, they were celebrating it for exactly what it was. Because of their sacred status, the Egyptians tried to prevent the export of their cats. They were considered a national treasure. However, they were too useful to be contained. Phoenician traders, the great merchants of the ancient Mediterranean, likely smuggled them out of Egypt and sold them in ports all along the coast. The cats were highly valued as a way to protect ships' food stores from rats during long voyages. It was the Romans who truly spread the domestic cat across Europe. Like the Egyptians, they valued the cat for its practical skills as a mouser, but they never deified it. For the Romans, a cat was a useful animal, a symbol of independence and liberty, but not a god. They introduced cats to Britain and other parts of their vast empire, where they became established as essential members of any farm, household, or military outpost. The unique status of the cat in Egypt was the result of a perfect storm of circumstances. It began with an agricultural society totally dependent on grain, which made the cat an essential economic partner. This utility then morphed into a protective domestic symbolism, which was then formalized in the religion of Bastet. This in turn created a massive religious industry and a legal status that was unparalleled in the ancient world. The cat became more than an animal. It became a living symbol of the security, fertility, and divine protection that the Egyptians held dear. Their civilization was the crucible that transformed a wild hunter into a creature of immense social and spiritual power.